Hello and welcome everyone to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by my good friends and GVG co-founders, Steve Bowling and Ash Polson, along with our very special guest, Yoshiller, roommate from PAX East back when, well, as Ash always says, the before times. We hung out at PAX East quite a lot. That was a lot of fun. How you been, man?
Awesome. Yeah, I've been great. Hello, humans. I'm Yoshiller. Yeah, come to think of it, but I guess besides my actual roommates, Bitnerd was the last person I shared a room with before the world shut down. So here we are. But it's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me, and I'm honored.
It was you, me, and Artsy Omni, and that was a fun time. Hanging out together. You set a lot of that up, and I was like, oh, thank God, because I'm terrible at booking hotels for cons. I'm always like, oh, I'm rooming with you. You're taking care of it. Cool. Here's my portion of the cash. Whatever, I'm done.
It was great. I felt bad that we couldn't stay at the Boston Park Plaza again, but it just filled up. So I was like, the least I can do is manage the hotel reservation myself. And if you want to hop on, you're more than welcome to. And it worked out. So
Derek, what you're saying is that when the world opens up again, you'll be in charge of our hotel reservations for shows. Right?
Oh God.
Oh man, that is definitely my wheelhouse.
I was gonna say that seems like a poor decision.
I do want to point out, because I've never gotten to publicly thank this person for this, but one of our former executive producers, Jay Acosta, put the entire Game Explained crew up in his apartment in LA for E3 2019. It was incredibly generous, and I literally never got to say anything about it before now. So if you're listening,
realize that was them.
Yeah, that was Jay Acosta, our previous EP.
Yeah, I did not realize that was Jay Acosta. Okay.
Yeah, when he heard that we left to form GVG, he immediately jumped on the EP bandwagon. But he wasn't able to continue his support. But he's a great friend. Literally, we were sleeping like in rows all over his apartment. Yes. We took over the whole space, and he was super gracious about the whole thing. So
I think I went home every night because I live here in LA, so it made enough sense. And,
yeah, sorry. And, when I say all of us, I mean like the rest of
everybody
GX that didn't live in LA.
Yeah. By the way, welcome to General Weeb. Another I read off a few new names I'm seeing in the chat before in the pre-show, but I just saw General Weeb. Hey guys, longtime fan, first live listening. So Thank you so much for joining us live, man. We're happy to have you here. Also, great name.
Yeah. Wataniak actually is asking if we're going to be attending events when we're able to. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
As soon as it's safe, I want to go to a convention. Yeah.
Find a babysitter and let Amy and I go to that. We're good.
We are so excited to be able to do our first show together as a team. We always, I think somebody asked maybe yesterday in the chat if we would be doing gatherings, like fan gatherings when we start going to shows again. Yes, with a capital Y. We did GX fan gatherings, as you know, Derek and I did quite a few of them at PAX and such, and we are so excited to do our first show gatherings as our new team. I'm so excited.
If I can get you two to come to TMG, I could probably get us a panel.
Dude, I am in for TMG whenever we're allowed to go again and travel and such. I mean, we're all inoculated. I'm in. Yeah. You don't even have to get me to go. I will go.
TMG is a lot of fun just because I mainly use it as a shopping experience and hanging out with friends.
It sounds like you're MagFest then. I've always wanted to go to TMG. Like that.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go too. I'm
surprised. I guess LA makes sense. You haven't gone out there. I'm so used to other ones. Like Kadikrus flew to a TMG. And I'm not sure. I guess Scott's based in Ohio now that I think about it. So it wasn't too far a drive for him, but there's still some long drives to get out to, or travel times to get to TMG, which is kind of crazy.
Welcome to Steve G, who says howdy. Just joined as a producer last night. Welcome, Steve G. We're happy to have you here.
That is an excellent segue.
Yes.
We, as you know, we have been enjoying unprecedented support from all y'all in over at patreon.com/gvgaming. I'm gonna just dispense with the advertisement there because I feel like I don't need it right now. But I wanted to point out a few folks. Trite Hexagon tweeted at us and just said that they were joining us at the producer tier. And they feared they wouldn't get a shout out because they're unable to make it because they live on the other side of the planet. So I promised you I would shout you out, Trite Hexagon. Thank you so much for your support. All of us appreciate you, no matter where you are globally, whether you can make it to TNT or not. We love you all the same. Glad to have you aboard as a producer.
Indeed.
And
That's right, Hexagon. Give your shout out.
we have had just an incredible outpouring of support. The folks joining, it's almost hard to keep up with. So,
Good problem to have.
I am just going to say that there are a ton of new producers at the $1 tier. We're great, or a ton of patrons at the $1 tier. We are grateful for all of you. We have a brand new $150 patron, Marcos Conchas. Thank you so much. I don't know if that's request a review or request a discussion. I will be talking to you in the DM soon about which of those that is. Michael Phone. Dude, jumping up from the $150 tier all the way to the $400 tier. So that makes Michael Phone. This episode of TNT is brought to you by Michael Phone. I apologize that I have not gotten some copy from you yet. I do know that Michael Phone runs a YouTube channel. I will be the first to recommend you go check that out. I appreciate your incredible generous support.
Absolutely, check that
out. And I promise you the next episode of TNT will also be brought to you by Michael Phone with whatever message he would like us to read. I apologize for not getting that from you today. I literally just rushed into the show.
I think it's technically only on the Monday episodes anyway, so that works out, but I'm also not a stickler for that. So
we have enough slots. We have 5 slots available at that tier. Mm-hmm. And the sponsor gets to choose the day. So, Michael Phone, we will ask you what day you would like your message read at, and we will deliver that each and every week for as long as you remain at that tier. And then, like I said, just a ton of producers, a few EPs. We will list you all at the end of the episode. I just wanted to, again, a very heartfelt thank you. This inches us closer to the goal of all of us being able to do this full time.
Yes.
So every little bit of support helps, and if you're not aware, this is a complete partnership, so everybody gets a fair cut, and that is something that keeps the lights on here, both literally and metaphorically from a morale standpoint. So we appreciate all of you. Thank you.
And that will always be the case going forward. So you can rest assured that any of your graciously donated Patreon dollars, they're going to all of us. So it's never even have to worry about that. Never question it. It's all split evenly and equally, everything we do here. So yeah.
Wow. All right. Rob Barman X is asking, what is the goal for full time for everyone?
We don't know. That's
hard to say considering we all live in very different states.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah. Right now, we were hesitant to put a number on that because obviously, people change, family needs change. Right now we just kind of are working toward that goal, but we don't have a set dollar amount in mind. And I would hate to say hey guys, we're only $97,000 away from our goal. That just sounds scary. So I don't know what that number is. It's certainly not $100,000 a month. I just want to put that out there.
It is not.
But yeah, we are definitely, if we feel that it becomes realistic to reach it, we will have that conversation with you guys and amongst ourselves. Right now, it's just not fully in the cards yet to where we should even be pushing toward that, but it does every little bit.
I'll fully admit to being probably the biggest obstacle to that, just because I live in Los Angeles and it's one of the most expensive cities in the country. So that's on me. yeah, as Yoshiller knows too. So but we are way closer to that than we ever even dared to dream we would be this soon out of the gate. Thanks to all of you. So. Regardless of how long it takes us to get there, we're getting there a lot faster than we ever thought we would.
Charlie Bird in the chat with an important question. What's the goal for Steve to review chicken? As I mentioned, we have a request a review tier, and I will be the first to admit, if you say, I want Steve to review some chicken, I will review whatever chicken you select, my friend. Or just the broad concept of chicken.
The broad concept of chicken. I love it.
Oh God!
All right, we should probably talk about some news.
Let's actually get to the actual news, and pop up the first one right off the bat. All right, first up, Returnal has a combat trailer offering up the first real look at its gameplay. And I'll be honest, I was so busy with life, I have not actually had a chance to watch this yet. But I'm assuming all of you have watched it at this point. What are you thinking?
I watched it. I'm giving it a rewatch right now just to remember what I'm looking at. And yeah, it looks tight. I don't know that I don't really play games like this, but I am a little interested because I kind of like the cyber hacky element of it. Or I don't know if hacky is the right word, but I like the technological aspect of it. I like the idea of having to, I guess, like scan something and then see what you're up against. That type of stuff definitely fascinates me.
It's a bit Metroid Prime-esque, right? And I love these like giant swirling tentacle monsters we're seeing in
I was going to say, we're going into eldritch horrors in this, watching this trailer. I saw those tentacles going around. I'm like, what the hell? This is almost like Gunplay Dark Souls was my first impression.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
I don't know if it actually plays like that, but
like it doesn't look like anything we haven't seen before, straight up. I mean, it looks like a 3D, 3D action adventure game, firearms based, but it looks like a really good representation of that. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I want to know how they're going to incorporate the DualSense into this thing. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm excited.
You know what I really enjoy about this? It kind of reminds me of like Metroid meets Gears of War, and that sounds like a weird mashup, but I'm watching more of this trailer, and there's a part where like a parasite crawls up her arm and just goes in, which but and then you see like
think of the bugs from the Mummy.
But it gives her powers, like she gets additional health when she kills something. So there's kind of a combat. It seems like it has a good mix between like fast-paced combat and exploration. I'm more interested in this now than I was, and I already was pretty interested, as Ash reminded me. There, it's got a female protagonist who's kind of up there in years too, which is just such a rare thing in video games, especially action games.
You never see that. Yeah. I mean, she literally looks like she could be in her 50s, like late 50s too. And I just like that. That's, you see that there's, less ageism where older men are concerned. That's just across media in general, but especially video games. And that was one of the first things I noticed about this game, is the fact that our protagonist here is an older woman. And I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm deeply interested in this. I hope we'll be able to check it out before it comes out, but if not, I'll probably still pick it up and do something with it, because it definitely looks like it's at least worth taking a closer look at.
I see myself getting this for sure.
I would definitely be interested in picking this one up, just because just after watching that trailer, it didn't have any music or anything like that, but the atmosphere is really intriguing. That planet looks like the planet from the original Alien. You're not on that for very long, but the architecture and the way that it's sort of laid out, it's like confining. And again, you have those eldritch horrors, tentacles everywhere, blasting away. This is like a weird combination between Alien and something. I don't even know, something I can't even really say, but it all looks fast and fun, and I don't know, I'm kind of sold on it. I'm definitely at the very least intrigued. So
it looks polished.
Yeah,
like
it looks solid. It comes out March 19th, so I'll need that. Also, I just saw in the description, I did not realize this, it's a roguelike.
Oh wow!
Oh, I did not realize that.
Really? I would not have guessed that was a roguelike just from looking at it.
That does not. Okay, well that definitely changes my hype just a little bit, because I'm not usually into roguelites. But I mean, the fact that they're roguelikes, but the fact that like I couldn't tell that it was one from the trailer still means I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
I guess the idea of it being a roguelike just kind of helps with the replayability factor of it. It's like, oh, you might never get the same planet twice or something of that nature. But I guess like overall though, I think Ash is right. Because it doesn't look like a roguelike, I'd be a bit more interested in it, because I don't really care for, I'm sorry, hot take, I don't really care for roguelikes that much either. With that said, I do appreciate them, and as I already stated, this game does look polished, so maybe the roguelike element helps it more than I'm giving it credit for.
Hard to say, because we don't have an idea of how the roguelike elements work. If I had to guess, just based on the setting and how it's all looking and everything else, it feels like, I never seen it myself, and I always wanted to, because it looked. All my friends have said it's amazing. That Tom Cruise movie, I forget the name.
Day After. Oh, what's it called? Day After.
It had the tagline "Live, Die,
Repeat,"
where he was constantly dying. Edge of Tomorrow. Thank you, Jared.
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, day after tomorrow. It can't be that. Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've always wanted to see that. I've heard it's really good. And that
it is.
movie is basically a a roguelike where Tom Cruise is just learning how to handle that day better. So
Good point.
if it's something like that, you know what? I'm still intrigued. Plus, I might be a little more open to roguelikes after playing Hades. So why not?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Phone in the chat with Groundhog Day. That's also kind of a roguelike-ish movie, and also just a brilliant film in general.
Oh, Groundhog Day is great.
Bill Murray, man. I mean,
before we close this topic out, the one thing I want to say is I'm not sure how the roguelike does this game have a theme about dying and coming back repeatedly, or what's the hook that makes a roguelike make sense for this?
Well, here's the thing that I'm looking at here. You see they have at the very end of the trailer the box art where they have her in her spacesuit and tons of helmets behind her, and if you look closely, there kind of seems to be skulls in there.
Oh,
so this woman is definitely dying and coming back to life.
Okay, that's fair.
And I mean, and the name too, Returnal, just suggests that she's eternally returning to the fight. I guess, right?
I agree.
It seems a lot more obvious.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I agree. It's just I feel like they haven't done a good job at explaining the roguelike elements because none of us really picked up on it from the trailer. And I've seen the other trailers and I didn't pick up on it there. But maybe that's a good thing because maybe they'll capture, they'll cast a wider net that way because it looks like a great game. So I'm all in to try it. That's all I got for this one, though.
There's a comment in the chat in the on the trailer that we see here. Ridley Scott presents Mass Effect, directed by Guillermo del Toro, and you know what? That kind of wraps it up.
We got a few comments here in the chat talking about how Edge of Tomorrow is based on a manga, and I did not know that. So thank you for dropping that knowledge on us, chat.
Didn't know that either.
Apparently, it's based on a Japanese novel. All You Need Is Kill.
Right, and Dustin Mirage makes a good point, and I remember this too. Pretty sure the reveal trailer had narration from her about how she keeps dying and being returned to the crash land.
Oh,
I do remember that now.
Yeah.
I thought it was more.
Now I am more familiar with this game. I do remember that trailer now. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Oh gosh, and you'll like this, VJ Bovia, Steve. It's by Takeshi Obata from Death Note.
Nice. Death Note gets a little stupid in the latter half.
I heard
there's a certain event that happens, and it's like,
yeah. But I will say that it still has VJ Bovia agreeing it's a lot of stupid. Yeah. We could go on for hours about my problems with the second half of Death Note. It starts off as one of the strongest openings in manga history, in my opinion, and then just has its jumping the shark moment and gets really dumb after that.
I will say I still think the manga has the best ending because of just how far a certain character falls, and it's just like I revel in it. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. And this is a weird one. Sakurai, in one of his Famitsu articles, he said he was deeply moved by the Cyberpunk 2077 refunds and considers it a dream game. Now, I've not read this article myself, but
I think the context there is that it's a dream game based on this Game Rant article, the likes of which require an extreme amount of ambition and planning in order to bring it to life, which, to be fair, is true, regardless of how it turned out. That is very true in Cyberpunk's case.
Yeah, this game's been in development for, 7-8 years? I don't think it's an exaggeration to say
more than that, actually.
I feel bad because it seems like a lot of the people who worked on this game actually did care and want to work on it, and I don't know if they got I don't have all the details. I don't know if they got shifted around and say, okay, now you got to make a PS5 version, or okay, now you got to do it by this deadline and you weren't ready for that. But it seems like the people who made this do know how to make a game, and just kind of one or two parts fell through and they weren't ready for it. And I guess from Sakurai's perspective, a guy who makes such ambitious games all the time, his perspective is going to be very different than I can ever even consider. And the idea of spending 6-7 years on one game and it becomes a PR and social disaster, that's got to be every developer's worst nightmare. And so I guess his point is the idea that you have to refund people now. Like, yeah, that's the morally right thing to do, but I feel so bad for all the people that worked on the game. Like, I just don't know what to do at that point. So I agree that they should refund people. Let me just make that clear. I don't know what to say to the company though.
Are you guys ready for the saddest take you'll ever hear on this story? Because I have this long-held belief about Sakurai that this is a perfect vehicle for. Sakurai is the best creator in all of games that is not allowed to exercise his creative freedom. He is a slave to Smash Brothers.
I have the exact same take.
Right. No, I think that's very true. Yeah.
I think he looks at a game like this and he thinks, man, why can I not do something of this scale? Like, why am I not allowed to? Why is nobody paying me to do something of this scale? Because honestly, like, the man by this point should have written himself a Hideo Kojima-sized blank check in this industry. And he has never failed. He has never failed at making a great game. And he's taken this series, from a very humble beginning to being one of the most celebrated franchises in Nintendo's history. And it started on the N64 of all places, a doomed console. And I just feel
even outside of Smash Brothers, there's even things like Kid Icarus Uprising, where you can tell he was super ambitious about the game he wanted to make, but he was limited by the hardware. For what it is, it's still an incredibly impressive game. But you're right, like it's very evident that he had so many more ideas for it, but he eventually had to turn out a product, and the end result was still fantastic. But he could have given it 110% if he was allowed to. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
I honestly wonder at this point, and one of the things that, again, we don't deserve Sakurai, but one of the things is he never like openly is negative about the things he's worked on, like a lot of Japanese producers are. Never speaks ill of the process of making these. Like Kojima used to say, like, I'm done with Metal Gear Solid. I'm done with Metal Gear Solid. I'm done with, like, after every single one, and he'd make another one. Sakurai doesn't do that ever. And I feel like the poor guy has earned like Nintendo just being like, hey, whatever you want, go do it. Like,
Agreed.
Just, figure out what kind of game you want to make, and here's all the money and the time you need because we're Nintendo and we can afford to do this. I would love to see him completely unchained.
Me too.
So Fantasy Thinker Fan says he has his own company. He can do what he wants. He just keeps wanting to work on Smash, it seems. There's a truth to that, but I think he's also kind of he's a people pleaser. He is all about giving the fans what they want. Fans love Smash, and he wants to do that for them.
Well, not only that, but I remember there was a little anecdote about him, Iwata asking him to make Smash Ultimate the most definitive, the best, game that it could be in terms of bringing all these different worlds together. And we know that Sakurai and Iwata were best friends. So he has, I believe, gone on record saying that, he sees that as his final directive from Iwata to make as many people happy as possible with Smash Ultimate. And that is his current goal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is gone. Okay, so I don't know if he still owns his company. I'm assuming that person's referring to Sora Limited. I know they worked on Kid Icarus Uprising, and the game sold more than 1 million units, but I don't know if that was enough to sustain the company. I thought it got absorbed back into Nintendo or something like that. But
I'll look that up.
It's not as if Sakurai doesn't want to work on Smash Brothers, but I'm pretty sure he's joked in the past saying, I'd love to work on something else. He just keeps getting roped back into Super Smash Brothers. So I'm sure whenever Ultimate is done, he'll do something similar where he'll pitch an idea, he'll develop it into a game, and it might turn out to be another Nintendo IP like Kid Icarus Uprising. But I'm sure he has plenty of ideas that he wants to develop. He's the Smash guy.
Nintendo figures if we're going to make Smash Brothers, I had to look this up, but Sora is not a development house. It's got 2 employees. Sakurai and one other person, and they really just serve as an intermediary for contracting with other larger companies. So Sakurai, realistically can't just walk away and do his own thing without the blessing or support of a much larger company. Like 2 people aren't going to make a Cyberpunk, So if Sakurai indeed wanted to do something on that scale, Sora would need the support of a huge corporation. And honestly, who's going to do that? Well, I think at this point, pretty much anybody would hire Masahiro Sakurai to make
As
a game.
Namco might do
Right.
it. I don't know.
Yeah.
He has his own sort of fan base. Microphone. The other employee is his wife. That makes sense.
Oh, that was
A literal mom and
Yeah.
pop outfit. Yeah, so I'm just saying, I mean, I feel like it's just sad to me that he doesn't, just get to be as explorative with his creativity as some other creators who have, honestly, in my opinion, not done nearly as good work as he has.
It is funny. It is funny to see his take here on the refund situation with Cyberpunk, because he says he was deeply moved by that kind of sincerity. And I think maybe, I'm sure he doesn't know the full context necessarily, behind this, or maybe he does, but I don't know if it was really sincerity on CDPR's part as much as it was their hand being forced, or their silver hand being forced, might I say. So yeah, the sincerity aspect is kind of an interesting take for me with Sakurai, and I would be curious to, and this is something he would talk about publicly, I'm sure, but I would be curious to see or hear what his thoughts are on the whole, unfortunately transphobic aspect of Cyberpunk. And I know the culture surrounding that is different in Japan. I know exactly. The culture surrounding that is completely different in Japan, unfortunately. And I'm not surprised he doesn't even bring it up.
I was about to say, I don't know that I'd want to hear that.
It's
kind of a never meet your heroes type of situation.
You're right. Totally right. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what comes of it. But I mean, it's a weird thing to look at it firsthand. But when you look at it from that perspective of like just impressed with what the developers were able to accomplish working on a game for that long, yeah, it makes sense. That's
the other thing. Derek, you make an excellent point. Like, there is a huge difference between appreciating a game as a product and appreciating as somebody who understands how to make a game.
Yes.
And just saying like,
wow. So I don't want to take his credit.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sorry, but yeah, it is like a huge difference. I don't know how to make a game, but I understand some very basic things about making software, and I can look at things and be like, wow, I can't imagine the amount of man hours that went into creating just simple in-game systems. But yeah, I could see that, divorcing it from the actual like performance, just thinking of the complexity of the design.
I'm kind of glad though that like we do the work that we do, because even though I've produced a couple of games and such, but I'm obviously not a game developer, but covering games the way we do and having played them for as long as we have and getting into the guts of them, I'm glad that I can play a game and appreciate the incredible amount of work that goes into even like the simplest game. I'm glad that I don't just look at it as a consumer and be like, hey, I'm enjoying this, and I don't really want to think about how it was made. I like thinking about how games are made as I'm playing through them, and I love respecting the craft that goes into it.
Yeah,
true. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. All right, so everybody who was jealous of the Super Nintendo World opening soon on February 4th, fear not, COVID strikes again, and it has been postponed due to the ongoing epidemic, which, boy, could not have seen this one coming.
Is anyone surprised by this? Yeah.
It's like, man, I wish I could be there at the Super Nintendo World launch. It's like, well, you can. We'll just delay it 5 more months. And it's like, no, that's not what I meant. So
right.
I feel
it's sad, but it's safe. It's better this way, but it does suck.
I'm all for safety. I'm all for, these happening in a way that protects people. I feel bad because like Japan just got hit with like COVID V2, and went into another lockdown, and it's like they had to. I agree that, as an armchair spectator, this probably is like, oh yeah, I saw that coming, but Japan and other countries have done a way better job at mitigating this crap than we have. And so I imagine
if it was launching
for them,
in New Zealand, that would be no issue.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's sad because, COVID mutated and now there's another thing that people have to deal with, and people start feeling safe again. They start going outside and it spreads some more. So it's just an unfortunate situation for everybody. I feel bad for the people whose livelihoods are probably impacted by this. Those Super Nintendo World needed people to work there. So who knows how those folks are affected. And it as a selfish, like, Nintendo loving person that also wants to go to Japan. Yeah, all right, cool. Like, I got a chance. You're saying there's a chance. But I feel really bad for the people in Japan that were looking forward to this that could have gone. I feel bad for the people that were going to work here. I feel bad for all the delicious looking Mario food that's going to go uneaten. Nintendo, if you'd like to send me a review copy of Super Nintendo World Mario snacks, come on, you got to have some that you're going to get rid of anyway.
Begging for food at all times.
I got to say, though,
I mean, I kind of people cereal, they can do it.
I got to say, though, I kind of feel like this launch date was grossly miscalculated to begin with. Like, I remember when they first announced it, I'm like, there is no way this park is going to open on that date. And that was like several months ago, and it just, Japan has done a better job dealing with the pandemic, but that was before any talk of vaccines rolling out had even started. Yeah. And I was just, I was like, that just seems really aggressive for a launch for an opening date, and here we are. So it is a shame, but I do think maybe some better consideration could have been, or caution could have been exercised when setting that launch date initially.
Yeah, and according to this Bloomberg article, it's it's located in Osaka, and that has become one of the nation's worst affected cities. So they're kind of in the hotspot of the re-outbreak. So, hey.
I don't think I realized that Osaka was one of the worst affected areas, which is too bad because I once visited a video game bar there called Space Station, I believe, and it was a really cool place, locally owned, mom and pop type place, and I imagine it's obviously not open right now. I hope it survived. But yeah, I didn't know Osaka was one of the worst affected areas. That's a shame.
Yeah.
I feel bad because Nintendo spent so much time and so much money and so much effort trying to build this park, and I remember they were trying to get it done before the 2020 Olympics. Well, I guess they technically did. And then they get it all done, and then you realize, the last place people should be in the middle of a pandemic is an amusement park waiting in lines to go on rides that are going to contain germs and little children hands all over them and everything. And
that to Disney.
It's sad. It bums me out. I'm sure the park will open one day in a much safer environment, but I can't help but feel bad for the people that worked on the park and bad for all the PR people that tried to get the park ready, and they did that Super Nintendo World Direct, and Miyamoto was probably super excited, and then it's just like, all right, well, we'll do it all again in 4 months, wrap it up, we'll talk to you guys then. And it's just circumstances beyond their control. That's the thing that hurts, is that there's nothing you could do. So you just got to play it safe for now.
As Rob Arman X says, Mario's 35th anniversary was meant to be way bigger. Yeah, between that Mario Direct, likely 3D World supposed to be coming out last year, and Nintendo World, they had some good big things planned, and then we got nothing.
And as Rob Armanex also says, Swooper branded chicken legs for Steve.
Hell yeah.
And then Charlie Bird above, Mario Chicken, and Lings Duke, Super Chicken. Steve, man, you and I are both foodies, obviously. I think you and I need to figure something out and do some sort of food thing together, man, because I love food like you do. So I'm telling you, man. Like
GVG will, at some point in 2021, review chicken.
I mean, it is just one letter away. Food Vibes Gaming. I mean, we are literally one continent away from that.
Food Vibes, which is just the tryptophan kicking in after you eat that.
Exactly.
That's true. Giving me some strong food vibes.
Yeah.
I love it. It will happen. It has to happen.
Yes.
So to share with our audience, no joke. As you know, if you're going to tweet about letting me review chicken, I'm giving you that retweet. And Matt McMuscles, our previous guest, jumped in my DMs after my last chicken retweet, and we had like a 15-minute conversation about the best kind of chicken.
Oh my God.
He has convinced me that at Nobu, they have this chicken called Jidori, which he calls the Kobe beef of chicken. And he described, he literally told me how he has like dreams about this meal still. So at some point, Ash, because I know there's a Nobu in LA.
Yes, there is.
I am going to make that drive out to you when it is safe to do so. And we are going to go cameras in hand and go try this chicken. Maybe we'll have to
It's
get
in
Matt
Malibu. It's a beautiful restaurant.
Yeah. Well, that's the one he had it at. So
nice.
we might have to get Matt McMuscles to come down to enjoy that with us, to explain to us the virtue of this chicken as we enjoy it.
Speaking of Matt, really quickly, he very graciously gave all of us codes for a beat 'em up he helped work on called the Takeover when he was on the show. And I actually tried it with my wife last night, and it is a Streets of Rage alike. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, there's less of a budget in it, and you can tell, but it's just fun, and you can tell that they know exactly what makes Streets of Rage what it is. And so I just want to. I'd like to get a video of it up on the channel, like maybe like a little, like preview of it, just like a first look at it, but. If those of you looking for a beat 'em up on Switch
it's been out for a while, so it's more like, hey,
exactly.
check it out.
But anybody else who wants to play like a Streets of Rage-esque beat 'em up, especially on Switch, really cool.
Takeover is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I got the code as well. I've not had time to play it. I've not had time to play Scott Pilgrim. I've been focused on Persona 5 Strikers, so
which of course makes sense.
Yeah,
rightfully so.
Like you do.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. And this is the big one. This is as soon as this happened, all of a sudden Yoshiller's in my DMs like, yo, so do you have anybody planned for Friday yet?
Yeah, so literally
I'm really into this because we got a new Pokemon Snap trailer. No, new Pokemon Snap trailer.
The newest.
Yeah, so literally Bitnerd was tweeting out like, hey, thanks for helping get our channel to 50,000 subscribers. And I'm like, hey, congrats, man. That's awesome. And then Bitnerd's like, oh, we got to help you on the show sometime. And I said, oh, name the time and place and I'll do it. And then new Pokemon Snap news comes out the following day. I said, hey, Bitnerd, is that offer still open? Because Pokemon Snap means so much to me. And this story would be perfect for me. So I'm glad it worked out. Thank you.
Yeah. It was just like, oh, well, that's just, the universe saying, make it happen.
Yeah, I am watching this trailer as we're live. So our audience is watching this trailer. And man, I have not taken a close look at this. This is gorgeous. This is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah,
I can't wait for this. And I love the fact that we're now on a console that actually has the ability to save screenshots. So it's just like, this thing is going to be a viral sensation.
It's going to be all over Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't go to Blockbuster anymore and get the pictures printed out. I never did that back in the day, and I guess I'm never going to be able to at this point. But the digital age is still fine. Posting pictures to Twitter is a good substitute. You know
what though? You can get your pictures off on your phone now with the new Switch update, and then use like a photo printer. You want to know a pro tip? Pro tip for all of you aspiring Pokemon photographers: you can email photos to a FedEx center from your phone. Just email them directly over there, and then when you show up, like, you can just punch in a code on one of their machines and it'll spit photos out, so you can kind of approximate the Blockbuster experience without people.
Mm-hmm.
So I will try that when we have this game available to try it with.
I am going to say something a little controversial here. I think I played the original Pokemon Snap quite a bit, and I enjoyed it, but it didn't change my life the way it seems to have changed the lives of so many Pokemon fans. Because the deafening roar of hype when new Pokemon Snap was announced was just incredible, but it was kind of lost on me. Like, I'm like, it's a cool game, but
no, I am actually right there with you. I like the game. I'm excited for this new game, but it's definitely not like a defining game of the N64 era for me. I actually really, really liked Hey You Pikachu. That was like my favorite N64 Pokemon game. I picked it up in Japanese where it's called Pikachu Genki Dachu, and I was taking Japanese in college at the time, so I used that game to practice. I've never played the English version.
Oh, that's actually a good idea because I'm learning Japanese now too.
Yeah, pick up Pikachu Genki Dachu if you have the ability to. It's a great, like, very early beginner tool because it's meant for little kids. And, I mean, I wasn't much smarter than a Japanese little kid when I was 18 years old. So,
wow.
Okay.
I think a big reason people have so many fond memories of Pokemon Snap is, one, you could easily beat it in an afternoon. And I think a lot of kids just kept replaying the game just to go through that aspect again. Then the other reason is, if I remember correctly, this is the first time we got most of these Pokemon in 3D for the first time. And to see them interacting with the world, doing their own thing, feeling like you're actually in the world of Pokemon, that has a big effect on kids. Like, this is like, I remember at the time kids talking about it all over, like, yeah, you got that jerk Professor Oak not liking this thing, even have it lined up and all set there. So it's one of those things just built into kids of that era, and it is a big question for new Pokemon Snap whether this still works.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because actually, I just looked it up. Pokemon Stadium came out a few months before Pokemon Snap, so Stadium was technically the first.
So you saw them in 3D, but you haven't seen them do things.
But
yeah, you don't
their
in their natural environment. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think there's definitely some appeal there in the context of back in the day. But now we also have like 1,500 more Pokemon than we did back then. That we haven't seen.
There's only 63 in the original. There's over 200 in new Pokemon Snap so far.
Yeah.
But if I may provide a quick anecdote, and I want to preface this is not a sob story. This is just how it was back in the day. I was born with a hernia, so I had to get surgery done. And after that happened, I had to spend a few days at home. I was in like first grade or kindergarten or preschool or something. And so as a kid, I would spend a lot of my days playing video games while I was at home. And I was not a bright kid. Okay, I didn't know how to ground pound in Mario 64, so I didn't know how to get like half the stars in the game. And I was stuck, and I would often spend a lot of my time swapping between games, because when I got stuck with one, I would just put in a different game that I could beat. And that included Pokemon Snap. And comparatively to something like Super Mario 64, Pokemon Snap, it's easy to say it's a very linear game, but it's a very straightforward game. It's very easy to understand. And I feel like a kid who's 4 or 5 years old who might just start playing video games will have a better grasp on Pokemon Snap than most other video games. And that was the appealing thing to me. And because I played it all the time, Bitnerd's right. I can speedrun that game now. I can beat it in 30 minutes or 35 minutes. So I have that attachment to it. Like I love it so much. I've got it burned into my mind. And so the idea that there was never a sequel on so many game systems that could have benefited from it. Like the 3DS had gyro. It seemed like it would have been perfect for the 3DS, but they didn't do it. Even the Wii had motion controls and they didn't want to do it. Gamepad on the Wii U was perfect. Yeah. And the excuse they always gave was, we don't really have any ideas for a new Pokemon Snap game. And it's just like, why? And the crazy thing is they knew there was appeal for it, because people would go around and do surveys at E3 and ask, if you could have a sequel to any game in any franchise, what would it be? And Pokemon Snap always scored highly on the list. And so I think there's a charm to the idea that the Pokemon company is actually just doing something that fans want.
Yeah.
I think there's just an appeal to wanting something for a decade, 2 decades, and finally getting it, and it's good. Like, it'd be easy to just be like, all right, here's a quick eShop game, $5, 10 Pokemon in the game, whatever. But no, this is a high budget game with Namco making some pretty polishing decisions, and I'm looking forward to it for that exact reason. It doesn't have to be super long. I would like for it to be, but if it's at least a couple hours, I will be content. So that's why I'm excited for it. I have that attachment to the original game, but I also acknowledge it's not a game that I have to invest a lot of time in and memorize, attack patterns and RPG strategies and grind for bosses and whatever. It's just a game where I take pictures, and I'm okay with that. I know exactly what I'm getting.
No, that's a great anecdote. I'm glad you shared that, because that's a really good, offers some very good context as to why you'd be really hyped for this.
Yeah, I am gonna miss having Professor Oak there judging, just having his voice clips. That was a lot of the charm. But we got the Professor Mirror now, which apparently is based on like the mirror bush in New Zealand. So, okay.
Yeah, I read that.
The thing I will say is that and I've mentioned this before, I really cannot stand Nintendo's new naming.
That's stupid.
Schema. It's so stupid. Just
not great.
Be normal and just Pokemon Snap 2 or I don't know, Pokemon Snap.
It's Pokemon Snap Islands
or something.
Because they're going island hopping.
Snap. That always bothered me. I'm still worried that we're going to get the new Nintendo Switch, and that's going to be the Switch Pro.
Oh,
that's
my
not
other
going
gripe
to happen.
with this. This is a nitpick. This is just me personally complaining. It doesn't really change my opinion of the game. The original game tied into the anime, and the Pokemon in Pokemon Snap said their names. They didn't do generic cries unless it was something like monstrous, like Charizard. And Todd Snap from the original Pokemon Snap appeared in the show. And it doesn't seem like this game's going to tie into the anime at all. And I kind of miss that marketing aspect of it. I thought that was always kind of fun. It does seem like it's definitely its own thing, and maybe that's why it's called New Pokemon Snap instead of Pokemon Snap 2. It's like, it's not a direct sequel. It's its own thing that happens to be in the Pokemon Snap gameplay style. Right. But I'm curious if the Pokemon are gonna say their names like in the anime, or if it's gonna be generic creature noises like bird noises and bear noises or whatever. That's my
trying
curiosity
to remember, because this is developed by Bandai Namco.
Yeah, the other one was by HAL Laboratory.
Right. And Bandai Namco also did Pokémon Tournament. It's been a while since I played Pokémon. Did they say their names in that, or was it generic sounds?
Oh, well, because I play Weavile, and Weavile just kind of shouts. I'm trying to remember.
I think it's generic
because a lot of
sounds.
the Pokemon in that game, a lot of the Pokemon in that game just happen to shout because it's based on their Japanese cries. Nothing is localized technically. But for that reason, I think that is how Weavile sounds in the show, though. I think Weavile in Japanese is like ah, versus in English it's like huh. So I don't actually know if the Pokemon say their names or not. I got to play Pokemon a little more to remember.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd like to have them call names because those crossovers as a kid were always a lot of fun. So more of that is nice, but
Azran127 in the chat. What if the new character is Todd's descendant, perhaps his toddler?
I respect the fun.
100, man.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I don't see them making too many ties with the original Pokemon Snap.
No.
Besides maybe there'll be a Kingler, and that's your one reference to the original Pokemon Snap, or maybe you have to knock a Weepin' Bell into a body of water again, and then it evolves into Victory Bell. Like there might be small references, but I don't see them mentioning Professor or Todd Snap, or maybe you'll have Pester Balls, but I more so see them incorporating different items.
I mean, we know that apples are back, and I would laugh my butt off if we're allowed to kind of abuse the Pokemon again, where you have to knock Charmander into a pool of lava in order for him to evolve, or was it Charmeleon? Just all the ways
you make Magmar and Charmeleon fight over the apple or something, and
yes,
Magmar lights Charmander on fire. Yeah.
Those moments where you're sort of abusing the Pokemon, like, hit an electrode so it explodes, so that way you can get this thing. Like, it was sort of interesting figuring out what you need to do to these Pokemon in order to open up more levels. I do hope that carries over.
So what you're saying, Derek, is you hope that abusing Pokemon to make them do things you want them to do in their natural habitat is carried over.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I think you'll be okay, because even in the trailer, there's like a Heracross and a Pinsir beating the snot out of each other. So
that
I think
is true.
There will be some sort of animal violence in this game, if that's what you're looking for.
Which is pretty cool. I love that little moment of Torchic setting fire to the apple you send out before it eats it. Like, that's a cute touch.
That's cute.
So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. By the way, it is coming out on April 30th, so not long to wait. I don't think we even mentioned that, but that's super cool. All right. Next topic. So, Capcom has announced the Resident Evil Showcase live event taking place on January 1st at 2 p.m. Pacific, where we're going to get, I think it's going to be about 15 minutes long, and we're going to get a bunch of new details about the game. It's going to include a new trailer, first ever gameplay, and lots more Resident Evil news. And I don't even care if these two show up. I'm reacting to this because I loved Resident Evil 7. I
am hurt. Of course I'm showing up. But the fact that you don't care whether or not I do, that hurts, man. Ouch.
It's just the way it is, because I'm so excited because I had so much fun playing Resident Evil 7 for the stream and seeing people's reactions and just getting that feel to it. It was really cool uncovering all the mysteries and having Ethan back again, and that gameplay is like, I want to see how they expand upon it and what they do with it. Plus, fun fact, the host of this, the one that's guiding this tour, Brittany Brombacher, Blonde Nerd, I've technically known her for quite a while. Cool. As I was part of the IGN used to have this whole blogging channel thing they would do back in the old days around the time of Cas Messina and Bozon. And I was on there with everybody, with a lot of other bloggers and sort of interacting, because I was sort of like a weird forum, but it was ostensibly treated like a blog, and she got her start there. I got my start there. We talked a little bit and hung out at that first PAX East where I met Mike SF of, when Game Explain was starting out. So we actually were together we joined Greg Miller because he had set up this thing where we all could try out, a lot of the bloggers could try out I think it was Mafia 2 at a preview event, and then give our opinions and like have a little write up from the bloggers. So they could say like IGN has that whole thing. So it's been really cool to see her expand and
Nice.
blow up like she has. Like it's nice to see her find so much success because she's really good at it. But Resident Evil 8 also looks really sick.
You know, I have one key takeaway from this though, and I have the trailer looping on the screen. But I have to say, I'm concerned by how horny the internet seems to be for what appears to be a dead woman from this trailer. Like I have seen, so there at the end of the trailer, there's like a woman in a dress with a big hat, and I have already seen fan art I didn't want to see.
Really?
And I saw people tweeting that they just want to kiss her. I'm like, bro, she looks like she's decaying in the mouth. Like that is not a mouth I'd want on my mouth. Everything about this woman, like her eyes are black for fuck's sake. Like go see a doctor. Go see a doctor if you want to sleep with her, and she should go see a doctor. She looks like she has a very serious vitamin deficiency.
I'm reminded of the one meme from What's New Scooby-Doo where the gang's all looking horrified as the camera pans across and it gets to Fred and he's just looking happy and it's like, that's my kink. So I think that's what kind of happened here. It's like a swath of the internet all of a sudden is like, oh, I'm into that.
Yeah, Steve, I'm with you, man. I've seen the trailer a few times, and the woman you're talking about, I don't get that at all. But you know what? This is the internet, and I am reminded of when I was making one of our thumbs about a month ago. I very foolishly, it was for the first part of the 2020 look back discussion, and I very foolishly Googled Isabel Doomguy. And don't do that.
No.
Yeah, the thumb turned out fine, thankfully, but it was not without some mental scarring.
Oh, you poor boy!
Oh man, that was supposed to be a humble meme. That was supposed to be like a joyous time.
Right, it's supposed to be wholesome. And it's the internet, so it has been made unwholesome. And don't Google that, please. But you know what? It's the internet. There is a kink out there for everything. And okay. So Resident Evil 8 dead woman. Cool.
All right. There's a piece of breaking news.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I apologize in advance. This is one of our producers upgrading to an EP, or the executive producer tier, and it gives me the real name. I'm not familiar with this name that I'm seeing, so I'm going to use what appears to be a pseudonym just for safety's sake. Demon Kid Zaraki upgraded from $10 all the way to $25, joining the EP squad, as Rob Arman X has dubbed it in the chat. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Thank you.
We appreciate
so
your
much,
your support.
Thank you. That is always a treat. I'm adding it to the doc right now, so we have that set. So that's really cool. So thank you so much. That is awesome. Real quick, while I look into this, you didn't really talk too much about your thoughts on Resident Evil 7 or 8, Yoshiller. Is that something you're into, or you're not into scary games?
Oh, I might not seem like I'm into scary games, but Resident Evil in particular, I have a soft spot for. I don't own any of them, but that's what I call a Let's Players game. Like, I love watching people play those games.
Yeah.
So I remember in particular when I was editing for The Completionist, he was doing his top 10 games of when did Resident Evil 7 come out? 2016. So it must have been top 10 games of 2016. And I remember I was just scrubbing through gameplay footage, and he's doing a part in the game where you have to enter a numerical code into a door or something, and you're dealing with the son of the family. I don't know anyone's name.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, the password is 1968. No, 2005. No, 1412. It's one of those. And then I'm just looking at this gameplay file, and Gerard enters in a number, and he looks to the right, and nothing happens. And he looks to the left, and a log just impales him. And just envisioning his reaction in my mind, looking at that gameplay, I was cracking up, and I had to see like what the rest of this game was. And I actually really appreciate Resident Evil for reasons like that. Just seeing people squirm and get uncomfortable. And I know it sounds weird to say, but it's the perfect type of game to do that. And I've tried things like, I've tried the VR experience, and I thought it was cool. At 2016, Capcom's booth was the house from Resident Evil 7.
Right.
I thought that was awesome. I didn't actually play Resident Evil 7 while I was there, but I really appreciated the booth. And there's other things where I liked watching people play Resident Evil 2 Remake. I actually thought that was really cool. And Resident Evil 3 Remake. I know people were a little iffy on that one, but I thought I loved watching people play it. So although I'm not super familiar with like every single character in the Resident Evil universe, like I know who Chris Redfield is, I know who Leon Kennedy is. I respect the games a lot, and although it's not a game I'm probably going to buy because I don't have a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, I will watch people stream it. So if you guys are going to stream it, I will tune in and I will laugh hysterically.
Probably will. If
Oh,
not,
I'm sure you will. Yeah.
I'll at the very least probably be the one to review it if I do.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
I know. Yeah, and you and I, Steve, recently played through Resident Evil 2 Remake for Game Club and had somewhat divergent opinions on it. I enjoyed it. I think you not quite as much.
I can't suspend disbelief to the amount required by Resident Evil 2 Remake.
I'm kind of like you. I think I enjoy it more than you, Yoshiller. Like I've always respected the series from a distance, and I have played some Resident Evil games, mainly the ones without giant spiders in them. And I'm hoping that 8 doesn't have giant spiders as well, because I want to play it. And I've enjoyed following this series' really goofy, just cheesy soap opera-y story from a distance, right? And while I'm saying this, I do want to take a chance to co-sign on Blake Quint's decidedly unpopular opinion here. And they say, for as much as Resident Evil 6 gets flack, I found it strangely entertaining. I did too.
I did too. That.
Yeah, you know what? It's more actiony. It's obviously not what people want out of the franchise in terms of like survival horror, and I get that. But I like it enough. Like it's So just wanted to say you have a fellow RE6 appreciator in me, Blake.
Yeah, should be fun to react to. I'm excited for that one.
I'm excited. Yeah, we will be doing a reaction stream, everyone. Just so you're aware, we will be reacting for sure.
Yep,
indeed.
All right. Next up is something that Steve's going to be excited for.
Hell yes.
So, Warner Brothers has finally showed some screenshots of the Mortal Kombat movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
And I gotta love the fact that Steve Harvey started trending after them, because apparently Jax looked a lot like Steve Harvey.
I saw that. I'm like, why is Mortal Kombat trending with Steve Harvey of all things? Something's wrong. Is Steve Harvey a guest character in Mortal Kombat? And then I had to look, and I was like, oh, okay, fine. But
as a fellow Steve,
out of context, that was the best.
As a fellow Steve, I feel bad for Steve Harvey, because I could only imagine if somebody was tweeting about me and they're like, "Oh man, that looks like Steve Bowling," if he were like hot and jacked. I would be so deflated. But he does.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. My wife is a hardcore Mortal Kombat fan, and I really like Mortal Kombat as well. I just love the goofy universe. I love that all these years later in 2021, they're still spelling things with a K that are not supposed to be spelled with a K. I love that they go all in on that just goofy charm. And, the original Mortal Kombat movie is still one of the better video game movies out there for sure. And I'm excited for this, straight up. My wife and I are probably going to watch this as soon as it drops on HBO Max.
So I'm actually reading the Entertainment Weekly article on this, and it actually does say, like, it focuses on the fight between, or the feud between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, as it apparently begins. The 10-minute opening sequence kicks off in feudal Japan long before these fighters wielded supernatural abilities, and it ends in a pretty nasty hand-to-hand combat between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So, and it's a first-time filmmaker doing this movie. But I don't know. They're definitely going for that harder edge, fighting and whatnot. But I gotta say, I'm intrigued. I think I'm kind of feeling this one.
Same.
I'm there with you.
First time filmmaker, there's pros and cons to that.
Because
on the one hand, if it's a new person, this might actually be someone who maybe respects the video game market a little more and probably knows a bit more about what it takes to make a video game into a movie. So there's promise there. On the other hand, if he's never made a film before, there's nothing really to base his works off of, and that's a little shaky. Like, you're going to do something as high budget as Mortal Kombat, and that's going to be your first film. Okay, but
yeah,
I'm going to remain optimistic. After the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, I think any film really has a chance. And Mortal Kombat in particular, I would love to see it go over the top and be crazy, kind of like Deadpool style. But I'll give it a chance regardless. I know Mortal Kombat because I'll watch it at EVO, but I can't really name all the characters like I can something like Street Fighter. But
sure.
This holds more promise than I would have given it credit for maybe a month or two ago.
Right. I'm in here.
And for those who aren't aware, it has long since been confirmed that it's going to have a hard R rating. There's going to be blood, guts, fatalities.
It has to.
There are fatalities in this movie. They said there's some crazy. We picked a couple of iconic ones, and
you know what that means.
Easter eggs, all there. And some people asking like, oh, did they not have their powers? No, that's a flashback. This is before they had their powers, and then they, Scorpion needs to sell his soul and all that stuff.
I hope that they go for like deeper cuts than just like the ones people remember from like Mortal Kombat 1 and 2.
Right.
Like when they say iconic, I picture, okay, Sub-Zero's going to rip someone's head off. Scorpion's going to light someone on fire. I want like the one where like, I don't even know if Cabal's in the movie, but I want the one where like Cabal grabs their head and like runs at super speed, dragging their face on the ground.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. I think one of the
my favorite. Hold on, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat dork, but my favorite one, the one I want to see the most because it's the corniest, is like Quan Chi ripping someone's leg off and then beating them to death with their leg.
Oh yeah.
There's so many good ones they could go with. Hopefully they don't pull too heavily from the more recent games, only because it's. I mean, I think it's hilarious how violent. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think they could get away with Noob Saibot's. Make a Wish.
Oh man, that was so funny.
Although I will say, I hope maybe they'll do Johnny Cage's Oscar one where he like,
yes,
I think he just rips off their head and then plants the Oscar in their like neck cavity.
I don't think I have a feeling the heroes aren't going to be doing the fatality.
If they're going to do a Johnny Cage one, I think it's Johnny Cage's. It might be Joker's, but I thought Johnny Cage has one in the most recent Mortal Kombat game where he like flips a coin and then shoots a gun at it, and the bullet reflects off the coin and like
that is Aaron Black.
Aaron Black, okay.
The cowboy guy. Yeah.
Okay.
All
right, well, someone in Mortal Kombat. I apologize.
I know this one won't make it.
That's the one that I always was laughing at every time I saw it at Evo.
I know this one won't make it into the movie for obvious reasons, but my favorite Mortal Kombat 11 fatality is the RoboCop one. He like fires a grenade at your face. It hits you in the face, but doesn't explode, flips over your head. Then he shoots you through the crotch to hit the grenade, and it blows you up. Which is like,
I love it.
The most Mortal Kombat thing ever.
That's too much.
I would not though. Like hats off to the developers at NetherRealm. And there's been articles about like PTSD like symptoms experienced by these poor developers. I would not want to be one of these people who have to like meticulously research all the innumerable different ways the human body can be destroyed. And it's like, that just seems like a horrible thing to have to do. The coolest thing one of the coolest things I think they could do in this movie, and they probably won't, but they should tap the Immortals to do a remix of Techno Syndrome. The original Mortal Kombat.
That would be so cool.
Like that is still one of the coolest video game movie themes ever made. And I want, even if it's not a remix,
so relevant, they really should.
Yeah, just bring the Immortals back to do something new or whatever. But that would be so cool, right?
I have to. I love this comment from Break Room Arcade, or Brandon, as you all know him in the chat. So will this just be one movie because these characters are going to mega die?
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah. I mean, but it's Mortal Kombat. People die and come back and are zombies in some games. Like you could explain it away with that old.
Yeah, all you need to do is introduce Quan Chi in the sequel, and you're set.
Yep. Exactly. So. Quan Chi shows up, people just start coming back to life. Shinnok, you could do that too. I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to this, and putting all the absurdity of Mortal Kombat and its admittedly hilarious fatalities aside, this art, like the stills that they've shown, look dope. They look really good.
Yeah. The only one I'm not sold on is Kano.
Yeah. Agreed on that. But the Sub-Zero one, man, I really, really like the Sub-Zero art, where it looks like, I thought maybe he was making an ice weapon, but I guess he could also be freezing Scorpion's spear. I think it's an ice weapon, though. But it looks remarkably like a spear.
So apparently, it's going to be focusing on a brand new character named Cole Young.
What?
Like a down-and-out MMA fighter, right? He's kind of down on his luck.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like you bail out of UFC and they're like, hey, why don't you go to this one where, like if you lose, you actually die.
Right.
I'd be like, you know what? I'll just stick to getting my ass kicked in a hectagon or an octagon. I'd much rather live through the experience.
That's definitely it's a risk to anchor the story around a new original character that isn't a fan favorite from the games. But I don't think that's necessarily a death knell either. I think if they do it right, that could be an interesting perspective, as long as they give enough screen time to all the characters that, of course, fans are here to see. Right?
I love
Rob Hoyt says. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Rob Arman X in the chat encapsulates my feelings perfectly. I don't want to join Mortal Kombat if I'm already down on my luck.
That's a good point. Fizzy Hoyt says, so thanks for turning me off of Mortal Kombat forever. I hope we didn't actually do that. I assume you're talking about the RoboCop fatality we described. But
yeah, that's if you don't like that, Mortal Kombat's not for you.
Yeah, that is by Mortal Kombat standards a very tame fatality.
Right. And also, a little ways back in the chat, I just want to say welcome to Arcaz920, who says, I finally made it live, late, but I am here. Thank you for joining us live, and we hope to see you here for more live shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our technically final topic of the night, but we want to give lip service to one other after that. Pop it up here. So there's an NBA Jam documentary in the works based on Ray and Allie's book of the same name, NBA Jam. And that's pretty cool. It's NBA Jam was everywhere back in the day, and I don't really know much about it. I played it a little bit, but it wasn't one of those things that I always checked out. So I didn't even realize there was even a book about it. But it's cool to start seeing these gaming documentaries coming out more, because we talked earlier about the Tetris documentary or Tetris movie that's going to be made. It's not a documentary. It's sort of a recreation of the events around Tetris. But still that idea. I think that's really cool. Let's see. So it's being directed by Emmy-nominated Sean Menard, who has several sports documentaries to his credit, including the acclaimed The Carter Effect, about a now-retired NBA superstar Vince Carter, and he is going to develop and direct it. The book itself was released in October 2019 and is built on the extensive research and dozens of original interviews with developers, journalists, fans, and NBA players. So, yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, NBA Jam was hugely influential back in the day, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
As soon as I'm just brought instantly back to my childhood whenever I think of, or hear like, boom, shakalaka, he's on fire. Like, that's just, you heard that at arcades everywhere back in the day. And of course I played the Super Nintendo version to death. And, it was so 90s, right? Because you could play like Bill Clinton and, you could play like,
I don't think.
Yeah, you totally could. Like, it had the weird, it had like cool codes like Big Head mode. And it was very, very much a 90s game.
Yeah, one of the versions had, I believe, or maybe it was fake. I don't know. Maybe this was this game's Shenlong moment, but I remember hearing that Raiden was playable from Mortal Kombat in one of them.
I don't remember it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
And I'm totally right there with you, Ash. So a couple E3s back, a game called Mutant Football League was being promoted, and it was a spiritual successor to, I want to say, like Mutant League Football, like whichever one it was. It was a spiritual successor by the same people, and they had hired the NBA Jam announcer to do announcements for this Mutant Football League. And so I got to meet him in person.
Oh, cool.
And I interviewed him about the game at the time. It was a great interview, and I am very much not the person who will like ask for an autograph or fanboy out very much during these, because I'm trying to retain a veneer of professionalism. But as we were leaving, he was saying like, "Hey, thanks for talking to me," blah blah blah. And I was walking away and I paused and I was like, "Hey, could you say he's on fire?" And he did it. He's like, "He's on fire," and I was filled with so much joy just hearing him do it, and he sounded exactly the same, and it was so worth sacrificing just a shred of my dignity for it.
That's cool.
I have that same kind of nerves of I hate feeling like I'm bothering somebody and asking for that sort of thing. But when Ash and I went to that Persona 5 Royal event, I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
We, there was that whole party thing, and we got to play a bunch of the game, and a lot of the actors were there, including Erica Lindbeck. And at the time, Amy was streaming her own playthrough of Persona 5, and Futaba had become one of her favorite characters. So it worked out because Amy happened to be streaming at the time. So I nervously went up to her, asked her, "Hey, could I record you saying like a hello message to my girlfriend? She's, into it." and all that. And she did it as Futaba. I got the recording and I sent it over to Amy right away. So she made sure I could get in contact with her. Like I jumped into her Twitch chat through my phone so I could contact her. I was like, hey, you need to play this during your stream right now. And I forget which number it is, but she played it on stream, and it was funny to see her chat go crazy for that.
I love that.
A little fun thing that she did. So that was
nice.
That's cool. And I'm actually glad you did that, Steve, because it's better to have done it than wish you would have, I guess.
Exactly.
I understand being bothersome, but I'm glad that it worked out.
Oh yeah.
So I have a.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Steve.
I was just gonna say I've since learned that if it doesn't seem like it would be a bother and the opportunity presents itself, I'll try, but there are times where it's wholly inappropriate, but that wasn't one of them. And I was so glad, like I had my best friend with me too at the time, and we both like freaked out when he did it. I just my only regret is that I didn't take my phone out first and record it, because damn, it was such a moment. But
it'd be great to have like as a text message sound, right?
Yeah.
right.
Is it the shoes?
I have a quick anecdote about NBA Jam. I don't know if I'll ever get to tell it again because NBA Jam doesn't come up that often in the news. But I think I've mentioned this in a podcast or something for GX. But I am a 2-time Blockbuster video game store champion. Back in the 90s, Blockbuster Video had these video game store championships. Yeah,
nice.
Right. So the first year I won was with Donkey Kong Country, and the second year I won was with Sonic 3. And for one of those, I don't remember which, I did well enough that I got to go to the finals at Knott's Berry Farm. And the first game, right? Yeah, this is cool, but it gets less cool pretty soon. So I went to Knott's Berry Farm, and the first finals game was NBA Jam. And I'm not good at sports games, but I still, I practiced. I knew it was going to be NBA Jam, so I practiced just to give myself the best chance I could. Unfortunately, I played with a specific button setup. I think I changed my buttons to like Y being shoot and B being jump. I don't know. But so, I get there for the finals, I get set up and I start changing my buttons, and a proctor comes by, and he's like this old dude, probably in his 70s, probably never seen a video game in his life. And he's like, you can't enter cheat codes. That's going to disqualify you, son. And I'm like, but I'm not entering a cheat code. I'm just changing my buttons. And they're like, no cheat codes. You have to play with only the default settings. Turn off the cheat codes. So he made me play with the default button setup, and I got worked. I didn't have a chance. I got absolutely worked over. I didn't have a chance. So I have a love-hate relationship with my memories of NBA Jam. Fantastic game. It's a classic.
I'm going to hunt it down. Somebody else is like, somebody convinced this guy.
Right? I was robbed. Now, to be fair, I'm not saying I definitely would have won, but I would have had a chance. And I was so robbed.
I hate to be the bearer of bad vibes, but if that guy was 74.
I mean...
That's oof. I'm sorry for laughing, but yikes.
Yeah.
Anyway, similar story. I don't want to go too long on this one, but I think I've told it before too. But there was a local mall competition coming up for Super Mario Brothers. That was what the advertisement said, and I think it was like a speed run. It was a father-son thing. So I remember spending a week with my dad learning how to get through through level 1-1 as fast as possible. Just figuring it out, and him getting really good, me getting really good, just getting through that so we could, do this whole tournament that was set up. So the day arrives, and we were at the competition, sit down to play, and it turns out that they meant Super Mario Brothers in the generic sense, because it is actually a Super Mario World tournament, and I didn't have an SNES, so I was able to do okay, but my dad was screwed and we lost bad. So didn't win that tournament. That's the only real tournament I've ever entered in my life. But yeah.
Well, I'll wrap this whole thing around.
There you go.
I'll bring us back to NBA Jam.
Nice.
So when Nintendo was holding the Nintendo World Championships qualifiers back in 2015, they had you play NES or Ultimate NES Remix, where you had to play Mario 1.
Oh, right.
Mario 3, Dr. Mario. And I did not win at the Los Angeles location. But the guy who was next to me in line at the time did get the highest score. And if I'm not mistaken, he was wearing a Tetris shirt, and he said he was the guy who edited or produced the Tetris documentary. So
Oh, wow.
I don't have a cool story of me winning any of these events, except at that event, Nintendo did take a picture of me and post it on Twitter. So there was that. But I don't have any sort of other bragging right about these competitions other than I was next to the guy in line at the Tetris that created the Tetris documentary. And that
That's
brings us
awesome.
back to the NBA Jam documentary, which I will only think is a good idea, and I will only support it, especially if the guy in charge of it did other sports documentaries. I actually think that's kind of funnier that way.
I saw a Fantasy Thinker fan say that the other movie he did, it was really good. So seems like
Nice.
it's in good hands.
Cool.
But yeah, that technically clears up all the news. And before we head off and have Yoshiller say we could find him at, we actually have an example, because Pikmin 3 Deluxe, we talked about this earlier, which is why we were going to cover it at first. Pikmin 3 Deluxe has officially become the series' best-selling retail game in Japan, so it's reached that idea. But Yoshiller, if I'm going to pass it over to you, this was your story.
So, for sure. So I write on GoNintendo.com, and I'm not the guy in charge of the website. I actually don't even write probably 50% of the articles on the website anymore. But one of the articles I did have the honor to write was about Pikmin 3 Deluxe sales. And I've done both of them. I did the announcement that the sales were not doing great in the UK, and now I have the luxury to be able to do the announcement that the game's actually doing really well in Japan, though. And that just makes me happy that I get to write a news article about a game that I really appreciate, and that it's good news, because there's always bad news.
There's a lot of bad news. Yeah.
But I'm glad Pikmin 3 Deluxe is doing well. I want it to do well because the original Pikmin 3 was awesome, and I'm glad that it's having a second chance and that people are buying it and realizing, oh snap, this is a good game. And I'm hoping it tells Nintendo, like, do more Pikmin stuff. Mario and Zelda will always take that, but do more Pikmin stuff. So
Yeah.
We'll see. But that's basically all there is to say about it. I'm glad it's doing well, and I'm glad that the numbers are still going up.
Yeah,
Pretty much
for sure.
echoed.
Yeah,
Yep.
same, man.
But yeah, with that, we've officially covered all the major headlines from today's news. Went a little long, but that happens sometimes. But Yoshiller, obviously you write for Go Nintendo, but where else can we find you at?
Hi. So in addition to writing for Go Nintendo, I do my own YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/Yoshiller. You might also see my name pop up on other people's videos because I also edit for Arlo and Source Gaming.
Very cool. Very cool.
Hell yeah, man.
And as you mentioned, you popped up in a photo. You're a very easy person to spot.
Yeah, I usually wear this hat at events, but it's a little harder to go to events when the world's shut down. So instead, I've been editing for a bunch of people instead, and I have an icon of myself with the hat. So it's the next best thing at the moment.
Perfect.
Nice. Well, I know I speak for all of us when I say thank you for joining us today, man.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're welcome back
Thanks for having me
anytime.
on.
Yeah, we'd love to.
It was an honor, and it was fun to talk about Pokemon. Anytime you want to talk about Pokemon, I'm game. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
But before we actually sign off, we do have to give a special thanks to all of our patrons at the producer tier. Really, all the patrons in general, because holy crap, that's been blowing up, and that's been utterly incredible. But thank you once again to all of our patrons at the producer tier for helping to make this show happen. It is an honor that you guys think so highly of us and want to support us. But of course, in addition, a massive thank you to our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine folks include, and boy, do I have a mouthful today. Because how many is it? 65 names in this? Because dear God. Rob, R-Man X, Dan and Twistle, Z Patty, Adam O'Sullivan, Floating Mew, Christopher, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Kieran Phillips, Benny Yao, Rosa Bowling,
Hi, Mom.
Geller, Shiny Turkey, Titus Malvolio, Jake Pelka, Michael Phone, Mitchell Herring, Game Explain, Charles Zaz, Andrew Medeiros, Jonathan Belmare, Kitty Kong Fax, Patrick Harrison, Scott Barber, Evernight Studio, Rocks the Cat, Loyal Dingo, Azran127, Phantom 23, Sean Garrett, Shadow the Cat, Guillaume Monet, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, Orm M, Top Dog 23100, West Egg, Master Links. I've lost track of where our new ones are at, so I know we're getting to them somewhere soon here, but Sean Davis, Denith, Coda, Lucky Wonderfish, Brandon Bovia, Octopuppet, Charlie Bird, Matthew Wong, and here's where our new one started. Now I remember. So our new patrons since that last time, Ashish Joshi, Matthew McCaw, Eric Flapjack Ashley. We might have said this before. Either way, Jackson Jordan, Sky Blue Flames, Young Ben Kenobi, Hyrule Hermit, Goron Amber, Joshua Rhodes, Hugo J8A, Seth Walker, Dway, Macalau, Ken Roulette 09, Hoobie, Marcos Conscious, Wolf X Blake, and Moon Macarons. And finally, our newest one that just happened today, Demon Kid Zaraki.
Wow.
Wow, job, guys.
Wow, you guys.
Kill me with these.
The support that you all are showing us has just been so humbling. Thank you so much. We're so lucky. We are so lucky. And thank you so much.
His first name is Michael McCall. It's written down as Matthew. Sorry about that.
Oh,
I think it's because we had a Matthew Wong earlier. So Michael McCall. We'll fix that for the actual graphics going up. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying. And that's the other thing. If there's another way you'd like yourself to be referred to, or actually get your name right, let us know on Patreon. Just message us. So thank you for that, Michael. And remember that you too can become a patron over at patreon.com/GVGaming, where you can watch today's news tonight live for as little as $5 a month. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to get Good Vibes Gaming for more good times like these. And until next time, good night, good vibes.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.